Hi there, in this video we're going to look at the Slate from GL.iNET. They've kindly sent this across to us to review. For another one of our videos recently, it's a very small device to show you. Just to put it into perspective, this is just a standard my wallet, and it's virtually exactly the same size as a person's wallet. So it's a tiny little router and designed for travelling and on the go. I think it'd be its primary use case. However, this is a very capable little router. It would be perfectly good around the house as a standard little device. So the actual product number is the GL.AR750S, and it's a small router, fully Wi-Fi capable, as you can see, which is designed with OpenWRT in mind. If you've seen a few of our videos by now, we love open source hardware and software. OpenWRT is one of our favourites, and we've done quite a few videos on it already, so this should be really good. I don't have to go into the advantages of open source here, but just have a look around. I'm sure people will throw in the comments their preferences. So yeah, let's get straight on into the unboxing. I'll show you exactly what you get in the box and what to expect. So first of all, it all comes in this small box. I struggled to get the packaging off of. First of all, we've got these little getting started guides and information if you need help. And here we have the router itself. On the sides you've got two Wi-Fi aerials, as you can see. On the back here you've got the I/O. On the front some LEDs. So you've got, from left to right, you've got your wire LAN and your two LAN ports, one USB in and a micro. On this side we have a reset button and a mode switch. And the mode switch can be configured basically to switch off and on VPNs if you require it, but you can set it up yourself within the software. On the front we have the LED indicators showing you your Wi-Fi and your power. And on this side we have a micro SD port. And I rip this box. More goodies inside. We have a flat Ethernet cable. This is the power cable. I believe that's USB micro. We have the wall wart. It's a standard 2 amp output. And as you can see, that's your US style plug, I believe. And by switching that down, you can connect one of the other interfaces. That's your plug for the UK, where I am. And this one will be used in Europe. So that makes it ideal for traveling, really. In the next part of the video, I'm just going to go through how I set up the device and go through all the features available in the web interface. If you're not interested in that, feel free to skip to the next section. On the timeline of the video, you'll see there's chapters marked out, and you can go straight to the review of the device. So to start with, I've just plugged in the router. My computer's connected directly to one of the LAN ports, and then the other port, which is the WAN port, which is your wide area network, is connected to my internet connection. And after a minute or so of letting the device boot, it's picked up an IP address quite easily and there's no configuration has been needed on that side at all. If I wanted to, I could have connected by Wi-Fi. It's on by default, and it has got a default password that would really need to be changed, but other than that, no other configuration is required. So we're just going to log into the web interface, and you can get there by typing in 192.168.8.1. We'll just go through these setup wizard. So we need to set a password. As it says, it's extremely important to keep this password safe, though you could reset it if you needed to. Okay, straight into the admin panel, and it tells you a bit of information about your network straight away. You can see that I'm connected as one of the LAN clients, and it would show you how many wireless network clients you had if I was connected over Wi-Fi. So at the top here we get a quick overview of what's going on the network. So we're set up in cable mode, and that means that the WLAN port on the back is your internet connection, and then that's being fed out to all your other devices. And by clicking here I can quickly see what's connected, and I could potentially block them if I wanted to. This is my phone, which was connected wirelessly, and I could remove them or I could block it. Just going back to the dashboard, you've got the information about the setup. We could change that to a different IP address if you wanted to. You can set it statically or to PPPoE if you wanted to connect this directly to the internet. That's fine for me now. Alternatively, you've got these other options that you could use. You could put it in repeater mode, and what that does is it will repeat another wireless signal. So if you had another router in your house that was providing the internet, you could station this somewhere else a little bit further out of range, and it would repeat that signal and give you a wider range across your house. Just a standard repeater. And to do that, you can just scan for other networks. This will show all the networks available to you. These are the ones in my area. I could choose to connect to that network and join it, and in doing so it will repeat that network connection to all my devices. In this case it can use the cable and the wireless connection as a repeat, so if one of them falls over, you've got a backup, shall I say. And as you can see, I'm still connected on one device. Now you can see in the dashboard I'm connected via Wi-Fi as well as via cable. Okay, next let's look at USB tethering. So I haven't tried this yet, but I'm just going to plug my phone straight into the USB port at the back by USB-C. And I've gone into settings, and I need to just switch on USB tethering. After a couple of seconds we can see tethering windows come up. Let's give this a go. Just press connect. Nice. So that's all connected and tethering correctly. So at this point we have 3 different methods of internet access. So I'm tethering. So let's say if these 2 failed, I'd still be able to tether the internet, which is quite useful actually. A great use case for this is if you had something critical that you really didn't want to lose internet connection to. Well, there you go. And there's definitely a lot of resilience in this setup, just as we've set it up here. Now I'm assuming you could probably put a USB bank on the back of this and plug in a 3G, 4G modem as well. But in essence my phone is working exactly the same as a 3G, 4G modem. I do have one, but I don't have a SIM card that will work in it. It's very old, so but I will plug it in and just see if it comes up. I'm removing my phone from tethering, and I'm just going to plug in the 3G modem at the back here and see what happens. There we go. After a few seconds it's come up. This won't work because the SIM card in there hasn't got access to the internet. But you can see that it would just auto-configure itself in most cases. But you could manually set it up if you needed to. Okay, so you can quickly see that there's a lot of versatility in the way that this is set up. And already for something so small you can do a lot with it. Let's carry on through the available menus. Next is the wireless area, and we have 2.4G wireless and 5G wireless down here. You can set and change all of your devices down here. First thing I would suggest to everyone is to change your Wi-Fi password. It comes set as a default as Good Life, and that's easily looked up on the internet, so you're going to want to change that as soon as possible. And just to do that, you just click modify and then you change your password here. I would do that for both 2.4G and your 5G. I'm not going to do that for the moment. Next thing is the security is set to WPA2. That's not bad, but the best solution would be WPA3, which is the newer standard. But for most compatibility and to save any issues with older devices, I'd suggest you switch this to WPA2/3. And that will give you the best of both worlds for the time being. You can also change the name of the wireless network up here. But again, this is only for the 2.4. You'd need to do exactly the same down here for the 5G wireless. When modifying the 5G wireless, because I'm connected as a repeater, I can't change these settings. I assume this is because it's copying the settings of the other device. Particularly channel will definitely be. But again, you can change the settings here as above. You can also switch to guest Wi-Fi. So you can make a second network for both 2.4 and 5G to allow a second network for people to use. This is not an uncommon feature on most routers, and you can just switch it on and off from up here. Also, if you wanted to switch any of your Wi-Fi on and off, you can do it with these toggles. That's Wi-Fi. Let's move on to clients. This we got to earlier from the dashboard, but you can enable traffic statistics, but this will slow down the device in general. Having this on allows you to see exactly what speeds your devices are using. As you can see here, it's starting to populate the speeds that the device is using currently. I could also set QoS to limit speeds for each device, and I could switch off access from here. I'm not going to do that because it's the only one plugged in at the moment, but I could just block my phone from connecting just as quick as that. Next on the list is the upgrade area. This is what we like to see. System is based on OpenWRT 19, which is the slightly older version. But you can see there's a new update available. What's really nice is they're actually giving you a full list of the changes, which is kind of unheard of with firmware updates. And we can just do it by clicking download. I won't go into too much detail in the video about this, but I'll upgrade this now just in case there's any changes. You could do a local upgrade if you had a firmware file to do so. And you can also set it to auto upgrade. To be honest, I'd probably put this on just in case there's any security vulnerabilities appear. That's probably not a bad shout to have on. Next we can look at the firewall. As you can see by default, there's no port forwarding, but you could type in your own here. Just a simple port forwarding thing, and would hit add there if needed. Open ports. Thankfully there's none of these enabled by default. You could set up your own here though if you wanted to. And DMZ. This would basically drop the firewall completely for one device on your network. Be very careful with this setting, but as you can see you've got all the things that a normal firewall have. The next area to look at is VPN. So we've got the different types of VPN services available. To be honest, I'm not going to go through all of these. Probably the most important one for me here would be WireGuard, because that's going to be the new standard as we go forward. You could just click on WireGuard Client. If you wasn't using one of these two providers, you could use Setup manually, and you could just paste your configuration in there and manually input any information. These will be provided by your your VPN provider. Alternatively, you could set this up as a WireGuard server, and it would just be as easy as clicking here and going through and setting up. I won't go into too much detail. If you're interested in knowing more about this setting up of VPNs and such, just throw a comment in the comment section and I'll do a full video on it in the future. Next, we've got the internet kill switch, which with most VPN services, you can just switch off the ability to use the internet from the VPN. We can also lock down things using the VPN policies. And of course, we have Tor. If you don't know what Tor is, it's sort of like a VPN, sort of not. It is free to use, but it's a way of hiding your data, similar to how a VPN would, but we're using the Tor protocol instead. If you want to find out more about that, I would strongly suggest you just click on this link here, and there's plenty of information about Tor on their website. Next section to look at is applications. And we'll go straight into plugins. Before you start, it's probably best to hit the update button at the top. That will get the latest of all packages available to you. And then it will show you all the available software to you and a short description of what it is. There's a lot of useful software available to OpenWRT, and because this router is based on that, they're all available to it. So you may find that if you wanted something like ad blocking, there's many different tools available here for ad blocking, and you can use standard guides on the internet for OpenWRT for configuring these. But for instance, if I knew what package I wanted, so my favourite text editor is Vim, even though everyone else hates it, so I'm just going to add that in here now, and it's just as simple as pressing install, and that package will be installed to the router, as you can see here. Also, out of interest, it shows you your free space. This will go up if you've obviously got a SD card plugged in. File sharing. File sharing is just that. We could install a file share, and as you can see, it's downloaded the packages for that. And we can make a shareable location on the network here. I don't ever suggest sharing via WAN unless you really know what you're doing. But now that file share will be available on your Windows PC or Linux, and we could do the same for multimedia. And as you can see, the GL.iNET server has appeared in Windows here, ready to go. I'm just going to switch these back off for the time being. The next three areas are all sort of advanced features, so I'm not going to go into them too much, but if you want more information on any of these, just put a comment in the comment section and we'll cover it in another video. The more settings area. Here you can change your admin password as you'd expect. Your LAN IP, so we could change the IP address of the router and the network that it provides. Simply here, and you can do that for the guest network as well, and you can also bind particular devices to those IPs using their MAC address. Time zone, it will automatically sync if there's a button here that comes up if it's not already synced, but you can set your time zone there. MAC clone, this can be really helpful if, for instance, you were trying to connect to a network that is locked down by MAC address control. So say your phone was the only thing that was allowed to connect because its IP address is registered. You could set the router to copy that. So we could clone, say, my phone's IP address here, or we could manually type it in. It's a bit of a sneaky tool, this. It's very good. The next few areas I won't go into too much detail. So IPv6 is available, custom DNS servers are available, and we won't go over reverting firmware because hopefully you won't need it. We'll go into button settings. So by default the button does nothing, but I've got it switched here for toggling Tor on and off. Alternatively, if you had another VPN in use, you could use it to switch those on and off which is a really handy feature. So there's a small switch on the side of the router, and you can quickly use it to switch the VPN or Tor on and off. I'll show you exactly how that works. So if I go back to the dashboard quickly, you can see that currently the VPN is switched off, and that's because I've got the switch in the off position. If I then flick the switch over to the on position, after a few seconds, it will show that Tor is enabled. Now that Tor is enabled, if I go to check Tor.com, you can see that this router is connected via Tor. If I then switch it back off, it takes a few seconds, and then you can see the VPN is switched off. Now if I go to the same page, you'll see we're no longer using Tor. It's a really helpful and quick way of switching between these two modes. So the last few things to go over are network mode. In this area you can set the network mode. Most important thing to know is that, as you can see in this visual representation, in router mode the firewall is enabled, in all the other modes it is not. So be a bit careful about changing this setting if you don't know what you're doing, but they're all available here for you. Finally, in the advanced area you can enable Lucy, and Lucy is the default web interface for OpenWRT. A bit more fully featured but not quite so user friendly, and that's why they've put it under the advanced tab here. However, if you was to install Lucy, you can use guides designed directly for OpenWRT, such as the guides I've put out in the past. But yeah, that's all available to you here, and if you clicked install, it would just install that interface. And finally, there's a nice little reboot button up here if you ever have any problems. So in Reveiw, I've been using this for a few days now, and just playing around with what you can do with it. I really love this little router. You can do so much with it. Firstly, I want to speak about all the sort of redundancy modes and everything like that. It was so easy to set up, considering probably how long that would take in normal case to set up a redundancy like that in OpenWRT. The fact that you can have potentially up to 4 methods of internet connection and failover for all of them in any case is brilliant, really. Quite tempted to have this just set up on my desk for more than one reason, but just as a failover in case my internet cuts out halfway through uploading a large video to YouTube or something like that, which does happen. The fact that you can use it in that manner, or we can use it as a repeater, or all the other weird and wonderful ways you can use routers, or connect it directly to the internet to get your PPPoE, there's not a lot that this can't do, and for something this size, that's incredible. From a hardware point of view, the Slate has everything that I would expect, to be honest. It's got 3 GB speed ports, which is brilliant. It's got 2.4G wireless and 5G wireless, which is perfect. It doesn't have Wi-Fi 6, but most devices don't at the moment, so that's no big deal to me. The fact that it's got a USB port on the back that you can either use for tethering, or you can use it for external storage, or whatever you want to use it for, plus the micro SD that you can use for additional storage is also extremely useful. So hardware wise, it's really got all bases covered. For something this size, I'm really impressed with how much you get for what it is. Software wise is OpenWRT, and as you know on this channel we love it. It comes with a variant of it that's designed specifically for the device, and it makes it a lot more user friendly to use. You could always go back to the standard OpenWRT Lucy, which is a bit more advanced, and it puts it in the advanced features section for a reason. The things that I don't like about it, firstly, USB micro, which would have been nice if it was USB-C, but either or doesn't really matter. It's all going to get, it all plugs into a charge bank at the end of the day. Second thing I don't like is the fact that it comes with a default password that is the same across all of them. I would prefer a randomly generated password or something to that effect, just for a security point of view, because I worry that people won't change the password and that leaves them a little bit vulnerable. Other than that, it really ticks all the boxes. I think some key features that I really do like, which I haven't mentioned yet, is the fact that it comes with the different plug adapters for the power brick, which obviously enables you, if you're traveling, this is the ideal little router. You can throw it in your bag and you know wherever you go, you're going to be able to plug it into a wall because you've got all the adapters available. And at the end of the day, it's USB. So no matter where you go, you'll always be able to find a USB socket or something like that. Worst case scenario, you can plug it into a power bank or your laptop and power it that way. Another great little feature is the Mac clone availability. I won't go into too much detail about it, but you can sometimes get round barriers on public Wi-Fi and things using that feature, which can be really, really handy if you're traveling about. This really does make it the perfect router for traveling. My final words on the Slate. So it's probably going to end up on my desk as a repeater in this office for a couple of reasons. Just so I've got decent Wi-Fi signal in here for all the devices that I connect locally, and for the second feature of being able to switch VPN on and off quite quickly. I really like the feature that you can just switch it on and off with a hardware switch rather than having to do anything software related. It's really quick and easy to do. So that's probably why it's going to end up in here. But if you're going to use this in your home, definitely built for that. Otherwise, if you're going to use it traveling, it's really ideal for that too. And probably if I do go traveling, this is going to be chucked in my bag, ready to go. I'll probably use the tethering feature to set up a little Wi-Fi hotspot when I'm abroad, and then I could use the VPN to VPN back to one of my OpenWRT routers at home, and then I've got a secure connection there to my home. Nice little features. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it's ended up being quite a long one. You may not have watched the whole thing through, you may have missed the setup part, but if you do buy one of these, come back and watch it through, and you can see through some of the features. I'd really also like it if you've got any comments on extra bits that you'd like to see about it. We'll be doing lots of videos in the future about OpenWRT, so stick around for them, and I'll put some links at the end of the video to other videos in that sort of playlist area. But yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for sticking around. If you've liked it, please hit the like. Any comments or any sections you want to go over, just put them in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.